I want to share with you 5 compelling reasons why you should never doubt yourself. These reasons are rooted in the principles of neuroscience and quantum physics that I often discuss. They will help you understand why self-doubt is unnecessary and how believing in yourself is the key to unlocking your full potential. The first reason to avoid self-doubt is the incredible power of your thoughts. Every single thought you have creates a neural pathway in your brain. These pathways are like roads that connect different parts of your brain and help guide how you think, feel, and behave. Over time, these pathways form the foundation of your habits, beliefs, and actions. Let's break this down a bit. Think of your brain like a forest. Each thought you have is like walking down a path in that forest. If you walk the same path over and over, it becomes a well-worn trail. This trail is easy to follow because it's already been walked on many times. In your brain, these well-worn trails are the neural pathways that form your habits and beliefs. If you often think negative thoughts about yourself, like doubting your abilities or feeling unworthy, you are walking down a path that deepens those negative grooves. These negative pathways in your brain can make it feel like you're stuck in a certain way of thinking or behaving. They guide your actions and reactions, often without you even realizing it. When you constantly question your worth or your abilities, you are reinforcing these negative pathways. It's like digging a deeper groove in the forest path that's already there. The more you walk this path, the harder it becomes to break free from these limiting beliefs and negative self-talk. But here's the good news: you have the power to change this. When you choose to replace self-doubt with self-belief, you start to create new, positive neural pathways. These new pathways are like building new trails in the forest. As you walk these new trails, they become more established and easier to follow. This means that over time, your brain will start to support a more empowered mindset and a more positive outlook on your life. Think of it this way: every time you choose to believe in yourself and focus on your strengths, you are actively rewiring your brain for success. You are creating new pathways that guide you towards positive behaviors and beliefs. Instead of deepening the old, negative grooves, you're building new, uplifting ones. For example, if you often think, "I'm not good enough," this thought reinforces a negative neural pathway. But if you start thinking, "I have the skills and abilities to succeed," you begin to form a new positive pathway. As you continue to think positively and believe in yourself, this new pathway grows stronger, and the old negative pathway starts to weaken. This shift in your brain helps you to act in ways that are more supportive of your goals and dreams. Second, let's discuss how your emotions impact your physical reality. Emotions are not just fleeting feelings, they are powerful energy that influences the quantum field. When you doubt yourself, you emit a low-frequency energy that attracts more of what you don't want into your life. On the other hand, when you feel confident and believe in your abilities, you are emitting a high-frequency energy that aligns with your desires and goals. This high-frequency energy acts like a magnet, drawing positive experiences and opportunities toward you. So by embracing self-belief, you are essentially aligning yourself with the energy of success and abundance. The universe responds to your energy, so make sure you are sending out the right vibrations. The third reason why self-doubt should be avoided is because it creates a barrier between you and your true potential. In the quantum model of reality, everything you could ever want or need is already available in the present moment. This means that your potential is not something you have to go out and find. It's right here, right now. But when you doubt yourself, you put up a mental block that stops you from reaching this potential. Let's dive into this idea. The quantum model of reality suggests that all possibilities exist in the present moment. Think of it like this: imagine a vast field of potential right in front of you. Everything you could ever wish for, every goal you want to achieve is already there, waiting for you. It's not something you need to chase or go after. Instead, it's about accessing what's already available. When you doubt yourself, you create a barrier between you and this field of possibilities. It's like putting up a wall that blocks you from seeing or reaching what you're capable of. This mental block tells you that you're not worthy or capable of achieving your dreams. It makes you believe that you can't have what you want because of past failures, fears, or insecurities. But here's the key. If you remove this barrier by choosing to believe in yourself, you open up a path to your full potential. Self-belief is powerful. It acts like a key that unlocks the door to the quantum field of possibilities. When you trust in your own abilities, you start to see and access the opportunities that were always available to you. For example, if you believe in your ability to succeed at a new project, you're more likely to take the steps needed to make it happen. Your belief in yourself motivates you to act, to take risks, and to push through challenges. This action is what connects you with the possibilities in the quantum field. When you have faith in yourself, you align with the energy of success and open up pathways that lead to achieving your goals. On the other hand, if you let self-doubt control you, you stay stuck behind that barrier. You might not even try to reach for your goals because you've convinced yourself it's not possible. You might not put in the effort or take the necessary steps because you're afraid of failure or rejection. This lack of action keeps you from tapping into your potential and accessing the opportunities that are already available. It's important to understand that self-belief is not just about positive thinking. It's about aligning your thoughts, feelings, and actions with your true potential. When you believe in yourself, you start to act in ways that reflect your confidence and capabilities. This alignment with your potential helps you navigate the quantum field of possibilities more effectively. So, how can you start to remove this barrier of self-doubt? Begin by acknowledging your doubts and understanding where they come from. Often self-doubt is rooted in past experiences, fears, or limiting beliefs. By recognizing these sources, you can work on changing your mindset. Next, focus on building your self-belief. This might involve setting small, achievable goals and celebrating your successes along the way. Each small victory builds your confidence and helps to break down the barrier of self-doubt. Surround yourself with positive influences and people who support and encourage you. Their belief in you can reinforce your own self-belief. The fourth reason why self-doubt should be avoided is because it often comes from past experiences and limiting beliefs. Our past experiences influence the way we see ourselves and the world, but they do not have to determine our future. When you doubt yourself, you are letting your past shape your present and future. However, you have the ability to change this dynamic. Let's break this down. We all have experiences from our past that have shaped who we are today. Maybe you failed at something before, or someone told you that you weren't good enough. These experiences can create beliefs about yourself like, I'm not capable, or I can't succeed. These beliefs can be powerful, but they are not set in stone. They are just old stories that you've been telling yourself based on past events. When you doubt yourself, you're letting these past experiences control how you think and feel now. You might hold back from trying new things or pursuing your dreams because you're afraid of repeating past failures or disappointments. This kind of self-doubt keeps you stuck in a cycle where you are constantly living in the shadow of your past. But here's the good news. You can change this. You have the power to create a new story for yourself. By consciously choosing to believe in yourself and your abilities, you can start to overwrite those old beliefs. This means shifting your focus from what you couldn't do in the past to what you are capable of now. Changing your mindset involves taking bold actions and stepping out of your comfort zone. It's not always easy, but it's necessary if you want to break free from the limitations set by your past. For example, if you've always struggled with public speaking because of a past failure, pushing through that fear and practicing can help you gain confidence. Each small step you take in believing in yourself helps to break down those old barriers and build a new, empowering narrative. This process of self-belief involves actively working to challenge and change your old beliefs. Start by identifying the limiting beliefs you have about yourself. These might be beliefs like, "I'm not smart enough," or "I'm not good at this." Once you know what these beliefs are, you can work on changing them. One way to do this is by setting small, achievable goals that help you prove to yourself that you can succeed. For instance, if you believe you're not good at writing, start by writing short, simple pieces and celebrate your progress. As you achieve these smaller goals, your confidence will grow and your old beliefs will start to dissolve. Additionally, surround yourself with positive influences and people who support and encourage you. They can help reinforce your new, empowering beliefs and provide you with the motivation you need to keep moving forward. Positive feedback and support can be incredibly valuable in helping you see yourself in a new light. The fifth reason why you should never doubt yourself is because believing in yourself is key to making lasting changes in your life. When you doubt yourself, you're actually resisting change. You're holding on to old habits and ways of thinking that no longer help you grow. This self-doubt makes it hard for you to move forward because you're stuck in a mindset that keeps you from embracing new possibilities. Think about it this way. Every time you doubt yourself, you are reinforcing the idea that you are not capable or worthy of achieving your goals. This mindset keeps you locked in the past, where you cling to familiar but outdated patterns. You might think, "I've always done it this way, so it's safer to stick with what I know." But sticking with old patterns often means missing out on new opportunities that could lead to better outcomes. Now, when you start to believe in yourself, something amazing happens. You begin to open yourself up to new experiences and opportunities that you previously might have avoided or ignored. Self-belief acts like a gateway to new possibilities. When you believe in your own abilities, you start to see options and paths that were previously hidden from you. This is because you start to trust that you can handle whatever comes your way, which opens up new doors and opportunities. Believing in yourself also gives you the motivation and drive to pursue your goals. When you have confidence in your abilities, you're more likely to take action. You're not waiting for someone else to give you permission or for the perfect moment to arrive. Instead, you're actively working toward your goals because you trust that you can achieve them. This motivation is crucial because it helps you push through the obstacles and challenges that will inevitably come up. Self-belief also gives you the courage to face challenges head-on. When you're confident in yourself, you don't shy away from difficulties. Instead, you approach them with a positive attitude, knowing that you have the strength and skills to overcome them. This courage is essential for making significant changes in your life. It helps you take risks and step outside your comfort zone, which is often necessary for growth and transformation. Furthermore, when you truly believe in yourself, you're more likely to take consistent action toward your goals. Consistency is key to making lasting change. It's not enough to make a one-time effort. You need to keep moving forward, even when things get tough. Self-belief keeps you motivated to stay on track. It helps you keep going, even when you face setbacks or challenges. This steady effort is what ultimately leads to real, lasting changes in your life. Now let's delve a bit deeper into how to cultivate self-belief and overcome self-doubt. One powerful way to do this is by practicing gratitude. Gratitude shifts your focus from what you lack to what you have. It helps you appreciate your strengths and accomplishments, reinforcing your self-belief. When you are grateful for your progress and achievements, you build a positive self-image that supports your growth and success. So make it a habit to regularly reflect on what you are grateful for in your life. This simple practice can have a profound impact on your self-belief and overall well-being. Another important practice is visualization. Visualization involves mentally rehearsing your goals and seeing yourself achieving them. When you visualize yourself succeeding, you activate the neural pathways associated with that success. This not only reinforces your belief in your abilities, but also helps you feel more confident and prepared. Visualization is a powerful tool that aligns your mind and body with your desired outcomes, making it easier to manifest your goals into reality. Additionally, it's crucial to surround yourself with supportive people. The people you interact with can either uplift or undermine your self-belief. Surround yourself with individuals who believe in you and your potential. Their positive energy and encouragement can help reinforce your own self-belief and provide you with the motivation and support you need to succeed. Seek out mentors, friends, and colleagues who inspire and support you on your journey. Finally, remember that self-belief is a continuous practice. It's not something you achieve once and for all. It's a daily commitment to yourself. Make it a habit to challenge negative thoughts and replace them with positive affirmations. Each day, remind yourself of your strengths, capabilities, and the progress you've made. The more you practice, sit there, and they're sitting there, and all of a sudden they're noticing that they're hot and they're irritated and their stomach is twisting, and all of a sudden it's a group of sensations, a group of feelings that they have called all along frustration. But the different sensations, the moment you name it, it becomes an emotion. But what it is just bodily sensations. It's energy that's stuck in the body. So then I started seeing, okay, let's see if we can teach this be able to reproduce the outcome, because that's science, right? The first one was that they all believed and accepted that there was an intelligence that lived within them that was giving them life. And then these people you interviewed who had had injuries that overcame. No, these are people were with cancer, MS, Lou. This Parkinson's disease got better. Yeah, just spontaneously, it's called a spontaneous for you. I mean, so I believe there was an intelligence, there was some invisible life force they were connected to that. They felt like they had lost their connection till they became separate and disconnected from. And that when they got the diagnosis, they woke up and said, man, I got to connect again, and I got to connect to my essence. And so they developed a relationship with it. Just like you develop a relationship with anybody, it takes time. You got to be present. You got to connect. You got to experience. You got to be present. All of these things are important elements. So that was the first thing. The second thing was that they realized that it was the mismanagement of their emotions and the hormones of stress that really began to create their condition. Now stress is when your brain and body are knocked out of balance. The stress is when your body's not that of homeostasis. We have an innate mechanism in our body that returns us back to order. So then if someone cuts you off on the LA freeway, you have an emotional reaction, but 15 minutes later, you're back to driving and you're over it, right? That's all organisms in nature can tolerate short-term stress. Everyone's all day long, all week, all year. Yeah, so if you're reacting to like a Tyrannosaurus, Rex is chasing you, you have to make a decision. Am I going to use 20% of my energy? I'm going to use 100%. So it turns out when you're reacting to traffic 200%, all right, after reacting to your coworker sitting in the cubicle next to you, you're turning on that response, and what was once very adaptive becomes very maladaptive. Because when you turn on the stress response and you can't turn it off now, you're headed for disease, because nobody can live in emergency mode for that extended period of time. Well, human beings, we can turn on the stress response just by thought alone. You can think about your problems and you're producing the same biological effects. So those chemicals give the brain and body a rush of energy, and people become addicted to that rush of energy. So now they use the problems and conditions in their life to reaffirm their addiction to that emotion. They need the bad job, they need the poor relationship. So that means they become addicted to the life that they don't even like. Why do we need the bad job or bad relationship and stay stuck? Because it's a conditioned response. So listen, if you get angry at a coworker and all of a sudden you get arousal in your brain and body, right? You get a rush of energy. When you start noticing that your body starts dropping, your brain starts noticing your energy starts dropping, you're automatically going to have the image of the coworker in order to give your body the jolt, right? So all of a sudden people become addicted to their own thoughts, right? So these people realize that, oh my God, I've been mismanaging my attention and energy, and I got it. I got to get beyond my past. I got to get beyond these emotions. I got to make some big changes. I got to break the habit of being myself. I got to stop being this person. Now that sounds really good theoretically and philosophically, but change is such a hard thing. All right, because the moment you come back to your senses and you step back into your life and you see that person or you go to that place or you're with that experience, so many people are unconsciously reacting in their thoughts and feelings to everything in their environment. So now their environment is controlling how they think and feel. So they realize that in order to change, they've got to be greater than their environment, greater than the conditions in the world, greater than the circumstances in life. Be mindful of that every time it comes up to be like, okay, I'm going to think differently. I'm not going to react this way. I'm not going to go back. I'm not going to go back, because the moment you start reacting emotionally, emotions are a record of the past. And if those emotions are driving your thoughts, you're thinking in the past. And if you can't think greater than how you feel, and you believe your thoughts have something to do with your destiny, you're creating more of your past, right? So it turns out that the repetition of thinking and feeling and thinking, these loops that people get caught in, condition their body to subconsciously become the mind of that emotion, which means now their unconscious mind is believing they're living in the same past experience, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. I kind of move past the word visualization because I think it kind of conjures up a little bit too much of a spiritual association. The word that's used in science is called mental rehearsal. In mental rehearsal, there's two types of mental rehearsal. There's what's called internal mental imaging, which means you're in the scene as the first person experiencing it. And then there's called external mental imaging, which is you're observing yourself in the scene. Turns out that when you are actually in the first person and not the third person, that action of rehearsing what you're doing produces the strong biological change. Now let's talk about this. You can take a group of people that have never played the piano before, and you can do a functional brain scan on them, and then you can teach them one-handed scales and chords, and they'll practice those chords 2 hours a day for 5 days. At the end of 5 days, they grow a whole new set of circuits on the opposite side of the brain. Well, that makes sense. You learn something new. Learning is making new synaptic connections. You get your body involved with some instruction. When you get your body involved, you're going to have a new experience. Experience enriches the brain. You pay attention to what you're doing. You've got to pay attention and stay present. And if you repeat it over and over again, firing and wiring, you assemble new networks of neurons equal to your experience. Nothing new there, but you can take a group of people and you can have them close their eyes. Do a brain scan on them before the experiment. 5 days later, do a brain scan after. And for 2 hours a day, they mentally rehearse playing those scales and chords. At the end of 5 days, they grow the same amount of circuits in their brain as the people actually physically doing the exercise. So what's the relevance? Number one, when you're truly focused and you're truly paying attention, your brain does not know the difference between what's going on out there and what's going on in here. So the thought becomes the experience, and the brain looks like it's been playing the piano for the last 5 days, but they never lift a finger. Now, from a biological standpoint, our brains are a record of the past. They're an artifact of everything we've learned and experienced to this moment. When we prime the brain to change its circuitry before the experience, now the brain is no longer a record of the past. It's now a map to the future. And so as we warm up those brain circuits, it's more easy for us to slip into a supernatural behavior. If you take those people and you set them from the piano, and they've never played the piano before, but they've been mentally rehearsing for the last 5 days, they'll play those scales and chords like magic. They just learned how to do it just by changing their internal state. Take a group of men. You can have them close their eyes and for an hour a day, mentally rehearse doing bicep curls over and over again, and they add an emotional component called harder, stronger, more intense, and they put themselves in that first-person internal mental image. At the end of 2 weeks, they have a 13.5 increase in muscle strength, and they've never performed the activity. Not only is the brain changed to look like the experience has already occurred, now the body has changed by thought alone. The body looks like it's been working out for the last 2 weeks. So then the power of mental rehearsal, of imaging primes, the brain and body to look like the future has already occurred. And when you set the extent of your limit. And then they said, let's take a control group, just a group of people that are just average people, and we'll use the monks, and we'll teach them how to do this thing called focused concentration, what science is now called paying attention. By the way, the average human being loses their attention span 6 to 10 times a minute. That's why only a few subatomic particles actually pay attention to our mind. So he said, okay, we're going to hook these guys up to these brain scans, particular ones called EEGs. And EEGs measure electromagnetic frequency that the brain emits. And so they took 256 electrodes and they covered their whole entire head. Can you picture these monks with the things? And then they ran all the feedback into a computer that created a holographic picture of the brain, and they were able to begin to measure brain activity. They said to these monks, be your normal self. They took 8 of them, be your normal self. And then they said, okay, now listen, you guys, pay attention to compassion. Just close your eyes and pay attention to compassion. The moment they did that, all of a sudden, the frontal lobe lit up so much that the scientists had never seen that type of activity in that part of the brain. Now, then they took the control group and they said, all right, you guys, pay attention to one thing. And of course, what happened? My back hurts. How long is this gonna take? I don't really want to do this. Am I doing it right? I wonder what my kid's doing. I gotta buy dinner, you know, all that stuff. And guess what happened to their frontal lobe? Meh, nothing, nothing. Now, in one particular monk, there's a part of the frontal lobe on the left side, which is really the happy spot in the brain. And this guy's left frontal lobe was so ignited that the scientists said, this guy's gotta be the happiest guy in the world. They'd never seen activity like this before. But then the scientists began to think about this, and what they said was, you know, maybe paying attention and concentration and observation is a skill, just like tennis or golf. And you can improve it if you keep practicing it. Now think about this. The brain is the instrument that we use. It's the machinery for us to process thought. How many people accept that? And it also has some automatic processes that allow us to function. But for the most part, it's the greatest area in the body where there's the greatest number of neurons clustered together. And where you have the greatest number of neurons clustered together, you have the greatest intelligence. So the brain is the central clearinghouse of intelligence. Mind, by the way, is what the brain does. Mind is the brain in action. It's the brain at work. When we can measure a working brain, we're studying mind. So mind is when the brain is in action. So when we're using functional brain scans and we're studying how the brain works, we're studying this concept called mind. Then here's my question. If the brain is the instrument for intelligence or processing thought, and mind is what the brain does, if you can improve the way your brain works, who's doing the improving? And it's that nasty 13-letter word called consciousness. That's the only solution. Consciousnesses are self-aware, free-willed individual that is really not the body, is not the brain, and is not the mind. As a matter of fact, consciousness is what manipulates the brain to produce mind. The brain processes 400 billion bits of information every second, but we're only aware of about 2,000 of those 400 billion bits of information. And you know what those 2,000 bits of information have to do with? 3 things, and only 3 things: the body, the environment, and time. That's it. You know, does your back hurt? Do you have a headache? Are you tired? Is it too cold in here? Is it too bright in here? Is it too dark in here? Do you like the way the person smells sitting next to you? Do you even like the person next to you? How long's this guy gonna talk before we can break? And that's where all of our self-awareness is on. It's only on the body, the environment, and time, and yet billions of bits of information is being processed by the brain. Now, when we can take consciousness, self-awareness, and move it away from the body, the environment, and time, we no longer have to live by the laws of the body, the environment, and time. And when we're able to do that, we begin to open the door to walk into the quantum field. So then the first step to change is becoming conscious of those unconscious states of mind and body. Most people don't like to do this. Everybody knows this, that you keep switching on that system for an extended period of time, and you live by the arousal of fear, the arousal of pain, the arousal of suffering, the arousal of aggression. It takes energy to activate those latent systems, and when we do that, our immune system is compromised. The energy that's mobilized for emergency, for the threat in the outer environment, compromises the energy in our inner environment, and we are then more susceptible to the conditions in our outer environment. And as Greg said, you have to look at to see what keeps you in balance. And stress and living in survival is when you're not that balanced, not that homeostasis. We can tolerate that short term, but if you keep exposing yourself to the same stimulation, or you have a thought of some worst-case scenario in your mind, you're actually knocking your brain and body out of balance by thought alone. And this is where it gets dangerous, because the conditioning response, the worst-case scenario, the image we create in our mind, and the emotion that we perceive is the stimulus response that's conditioning the body to subconsciously live by the arousal of fear, as an example. So that internal environment becomes compromised and the immune system dials down. And why is that? Because we are more reactionary or responding more to the environment. So, and Greg, you know this, that in a time like this, when everybody's feeling fear, that seems natural and normal. But what we're looking for is supernatural. And that's the new consciousness that has to emerge as a result of this wake-up call. This is a perfect opportunity for people to be in a retreat, but instead of being in some tent or some hut in the Himalayas, or being in some hotel, you're in the comfort of your own home. And it's true, you break from routine and you're not going to the same place and seeing the same people and doing the same thing. And that causes you to step outside of familiar territory. So then when we practice the inward work, when we practice meditation, as an example, and you have the ability to take a moment and be present and truly open your heart, our research shows that you are going to actually create a state of information that's no longer coming from your outer world, that there's danger in there. But when you start falling into the present moment and opening your heart, your immune system in 4 days can strengthen by 50%. Now, I know most people will say, I don't really want to do it now, it's just too hard. No. This is the time. This is the time that we've been practicing for. This is the time where it matters the most.